A government says rent cannot rise above a certain amount, or a medicine cannot be sold above a set price. At first, that sounds simple: protect people from prices they cannot afford. A price ceiling is exactly that kind of rule. It is a legal maximum price, and its effects depend on where the limit is placed. The key is the difference between a ceiling that matters and one that does not. If the legal maximum is above the market price, nothing changes. Sellers were already charging less. If the maximum is below the market price, the rule becomes binding. Buyers want more at the lower price, while sellers may offer less. Imagine apartments in a city normally rent for $2,000, but the legal cap is set at $1,500. More renters can now afford the listed price, so demand rises. Some landlords may delay repairs, leave units empty, convert buildings, or become more selective because the reward for renting has fallen. That is how shortages can appear. A lower price helps the people who actually get the product or apartment, but it can leave others waiting. The price is affordable on paper, but availability becomes the problem. Instead of competing only with money, people may compete through waiting lists, connections, timing, or paperwork. Rent control is the most familiar example. It can protect existing tenants from sudden increases, especially in expensive cities. A family may be able to stay near work, school, and community because their rent is limited. That benefit is real, and it is why price ceilings remain politically attractive. But rent control can also create trade-offs. A tenant in a controlled unit may stay even when the home no longer fits, because leaving means losing the protected price. A growing family may stay in a small flat, while a single person may remain in a large one. The housing stock becomes less flexible. Maintenance incentives can change too. If revenue is limited but repair costs rise, some owners may spend less on upgrades. The rule may keep monthly rent lower, but the building can slowly decline if enforcement is weak. Good policy design has to consider quality, not only the number written on the lease. Price ceilings also appear during emergencies. After a hurricane, authorities may cap prices on water, fuel, or hotel rooms to prevent price gouging. The moral concern is understandable. People hate seeing basic goods become expensive when others are desperate. But a low legal price can also cause shelves to empty faster. In an emergency, high prices send a signal that more supply is needed. They encourage trucks, suppliers, and sellers to bring goods where they are scarce. A strict ceiling can weaken that signal. The challenge is protecting people from exploitation while still allowing enough supply to reach the area quickly. There can also be hidden markets. If official prices are capped but goods are scarce, people may resell privately at higher prices. A ticket, apartment, or fuel can become available only through favors or side payments. The legal price stays low, but the true cost moves into unofficial channels. Not every price ceiling fails. Design matters. If a government caps rent while also encouraging new construction, subsidizing maintenance, or increasing housing supply, the outcome can be different. A ceiling by itself treats the symptom of high prices. Supply policies address why the pressure exists in the first place. A common misunderstanding is thinking the ceiling only affects sellers. Buyers are affected too. Some buyers get a better deal, but others cannot find the product at all. A renter with an old controlled lease may benefit greatly, while a newcomer may face fewer available units and a harder search. Another misunderstanding is assuming the market price was always fair. Sometimes prices rise because of real scarcity. Sometimes they rise because of market power, weak competition, or speculation. A price ceiling may be a response to unfairness, but it still has to work through incentives and supply constraints. The timing also matters. A short-term ceiling during a crisis may have different effects from a permanent cap. Short-term rules can prevent panic abuse. Long-term rules can reshape investment decisions. Builders, landlords, suppliers, and buyers all adjust when they believe the rule will last for years. For viewers, the practical lesson is to look beyond the lower price. Ask who receives the limited supply, who is left waiting, whether quality changes, and whether future supply increases or decreases. A price ceiling may reduce the visible price, but the full cost can appear in other forms. A simple apartment example makes it clear. If 10 families want 5 available units at the capped price, the rent may look affordable, but half the families still cannot rent there. The selection process becomes the real battleground. Income, documents, referrals, timing, and landlord preference may decide who wins. Businesses also respond to ceilings by changing the product. A landlord may charge separately for parking. A supplier may reduce package size. A service provider may shorten support. When the main price is restricted, some sellers look for other ways to cover costs or preserve margins. Price ceilings are not automatically good or bad. They are tools with side effects. They can protect people from sudden or unfair price spikes, but they can also create shortages, waiting lists, quality problems, and hidden costs. The question is whether the protection is worth the trade-offs. The cleanest way to understand a price ceiling is this: it changes more than the price. It changes who gets access, how sellers behave, whether supply grows, and where the cost moves. A low legal price helps only if people can actually find the thing being sold at that price. So when you hear about a price cap, do not stop at whether it sounds compassionate or unfair. Ask where the cap sits relative to the real market price, how long it lasts, and what happens to supply. That is where the real economic story usually begins. A medicine price cap shows the same tension. If the cap keeps a life-saving drug affordable, patients may benefit immediately. But if the allowed price does not cover production, distribution, or future supply, companies may reduce availability or delay entering that market. The policy has to protect access without quietly shrinking supply. Landlords may also respond by changing who gets chosen. If a capped apartment receives hundreds of applications, the landlord might prefer tenants with stronger documents, higher deposits where allowed, or personal connections. The official price may be equal for everyone, but access can still become unequal. Some cities try to handle these problems with inspections, tenant protections, construction incentives, and clear rules about increases. That shows an important point. A price ceiling is rarely enough by itself. It works better when paired with policies that maintain quality and expand the number of available homes or goods. The final lesson is not that price ceilings should never exist. It is that the visible price is only one part of the outcome. If the rule lowers the price but creates empty shelves, long waiting lists, poor quality, or hidden side payments, the policy has moved the problem instead of fully solving it.